In the vast expanse of the universe, where stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across an endless velvet canvas, there existed a realm known to its inhabitants as Xylophia 7. This planet, shrouded in swirling violet clouds and bathed in the light of 3 suns, was home to one of the most formidable beings in the galaxy, Queen Zerathia, the sovereign ruler of the Xylophian Empire. Her presence commanded reverence not just among her own kind but throughout countless star systems that had heard whispers of her power and wisdom. The Xylophians were a race of towering, insectoid creatures whose exoskeletons shimmered with iridescent hues under their triple star system's light. Their society was built upon strict hierarchies and unwavering discipline, qualities that had allowed them to conquer and subjugate numerous civilizations across the galaxy. At the apex of this rigid structure stood Queen Zerathia, her massive form adorned with crystalline armor that pulsed with bioluminescent energy, a living testament to her species' technological mastery fused with biological evolution. For centuries, Queen Zerathia had observed Earth from afar, her massive compound eyes scanning through advanced telescopic arrays that could pierce even the densest stellar interference. She watched as humanity crawled out of their caves, forged primitive tools, and gradually constructed sprawling cities that blotted out their natural landscapes. Through these observations, she formed what she believed to be an immutable truth about humans. They were inherently weak, driven by fear, and fundamentally incapable of true courage or meaningful resistance. The evidence seemed overwhelming. The Queen witnessed how human leaders would capitulate at the first sign of conflict, how entire populations would flee at the mere threat of danger. She observed their wars, petty squabbles over imaginary lines drawn on maps, and their constant internal divisions based on superficial differences. Most telling of all was their apparent willingness to destroy their own planet rather than unite against common threats. To Queen Zerathia, these patterns painted a clear picture. Humans were cowards, unworthy of consideration as equals in the galactic community. Her conviction grew stronger with each passing year as she monitored Earth's development. Even when humanity began reaching for the stars, their progress seemed pathetically slow compared to other spacefaring civilizations. Their spacecraft were clumsy, their technology rudimentary, and their attempts at colonization beyond their moon laughably inadequate. The Queen often convened with her Council of Generals, pointing to these observations as proof that Earth posed no real threat to the Xylophian Empire's expansion plans. Yet beneath this certainty lay a growing curiosity, an itch that even the mighty Queen couldn't quite scratch. Despite their apparent cowardice, humans displayed an unusual resilience. They rebuilt after disasters, adapted to changing environments, and somehow managed to survive despite their self-destructive tendencies. This paradox troubled Queen Zerathia, though she refused to acknowledge it openly. Instead, she focused on the Empire's plans for Earth, viewing it primarily as a resource-rich world ripe for conquest and assimilation into the Xylophian domain. As the years passed and Earth's technological capabilities slowly improved, Queen Zerathia found herself increasingly fascinated by the peculiar species. She ordered more detailed studies, deploying sophisticated surveillance drones to monitor human behavior patterns, social structures, and military developments. Each report reinforced her initial assessment while simultaneously presenting new questions about humanity's true nature. The Queen's advisors noted her growing preoccupation with Earth, though none dared question her motives directly. In the grand audience chamber of the Xylophian hive mind nexus, Queen Zerathia presided over a gathering of her highest-ranking commanders and scientific advisors. The chamber itself was a marvel of bioengineered architecture, its walls pulsing with rhythmic light patterns that synchronized with the collective consciousness of those present. Before them hovered a massive holographic projection of Earth, its continents outlined in precise detail, with various data streams flowing around the globe like digital rivers. Commander Vorthak, the Queen's voice resonated through the chamber, deep and commanding. Present your latest findings regarding human military capabilities. The addressed commander, a particularly imposing Xylophian warrior whose exoskeleton bore the scars of countless battles, stepped forward. His multiple limbs moved with practiced precision as he manipulated the holographic display. "Your Majesty," Vorthak began, his voice carrying the weight of authority tempered by respect, "our long-term observations confirm previous assessments. Human military forces remain fragmented across numerous independent nations, each pursuing its own agenda. Their weapons technology is primitive compared to our plasma cannons, and their defensive capabilities are laughable." He paused, allowing the assembled council to absorb this information before continuing. "Our infiltration units have reported that human soldiers often break ranks under pressure, and their command structures collapse during sustained engagements. Their so-called elite forces demonstrate marginally better cohesion but still pale in comparison to our warrior caste's disciplined response to combat scenarios. As he spoke, tactical simulations played out in the holographic display, showing human forces scattering before simulated Xylofian assaults. Scientist Kalith, the chief xenobiologist, chimed in from her position near the chamber's central neural interface. The biological data supports Commander Vortak's observations, Your Majesty. Human physiology exhibits significant stress responses under duress, releasing chemicals that impair judgment and coordination. Their neural pathways show patterns consistent with fear-based decision-making, particularly in crisis situations. Queen Zorathia's mandibles clicked softly in satisfaction as she processed this information. And their leadership? She inquired, her massive form shifting slightly on the organic throne that responded to her movements like living tissue. Even more disappointing, Your Majesty, interjected General Silther, his armored body gleaming with reflected light. Human leaders consistently prioritize personal survival over strategic advantage. During conflicts, we've observed numerous instances of high-ranking officials abandoning their posts or negotiating surrenders at the first sign of difficulty. Their political systems encourage cowardice, rewarding those who avoid confrontation rather than those who face challenges head-on. The Queen's crystalline crown pulsed with approval as she considered these reports. Their technological advancements, she pressed, her multiple eyes scanning the assembled experts. Our technical analysis division has identified several promising developments, responded Engineer Zirkin, manipulating the holographic display to show various human innovations. However, their implementation remains hindered by bureaucratic inefficiency and resource mismanagement. Of particular note is their recent experimentation with quantum computing and artificial intelligence, though these efforts appear hamstrung by ethical concerns and internal disagreements. A murmur of derision rippled through the council at this revelation. Queen Zorathia raised a massive limb for silence. Ethical concerns? In matters of survival and advancement? Truly remarkable. Her tone carried both amusement and disdain. Continue your observations. I want comprehensive reports on their psychological response patterns to simulated threats. Deploy additional observation drones to key human population centers. Let us understand precisely how deep this cowardice runs. As the council dispersed to carry out their sovereign's commands, Queen Zorathia remained seated upon her throne, her thoughts drifting to the peculiar species that had captured her attention. The evidence seemed incontrovertible. Humans were indeed cowards, their civilization built upon foundations of fear and compromise. Yet something about their persistence nagged at her consciousness, like a persistent vibration in the hive mind network that refused to dissipate. She activated the neural interface embedded in her throne, accessing raw data streams from Earth's surface. The images that flooded her consciousness showed humans going about their daily lives, building, creating, destroying, rebuilding. They fought amongst themselves with pathetic ferocity, yet always seemed to emerge from their conflicts with renewed determination. It was this resilience, this ability to continue despite their apparent cowardice, that puzzled the Queen most deeply. Summoning her primary advisor, Selectra, Queen Zorathia initiated a private conference. "What do you make of these contradictions?" she demanded, projecting mental images of human behavior patterns into the shared consciousness space. They flee from danger, yet return to rebuild. They surrender in battle, yet rise again to fight. How can such creatures be both cowards and survivors? Selectra's response came as a complex web of thought patterns and sensory impressions. Perhaps, Your Majesty, their apparent cowardice is merely a different manifestation of survival instinct. Their flight responses might serve a purpose beyond simple fear. The human brain shows unique patterns of adaptation and learning from trauma experiences. The Queen's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Investigate further. Focus on their historical records of conflict and recovery. I want to understand how a species so apparently driven by fear manages to persist and evolve. As Selectra withdrew, Queen Zorathia turned her attention back to the holographic projection of Earth, now displaying real-time footage of human activity across the planet's surface. Her crystalline armor pulsed with contemplation as she observed the myriad ways humans interacted with their environment and each other. There was something about their behavior that didn't quite fit the neat categorization of coward. Their art forms, their music, their literature, all spoke of deeper emotions and complex motivations that resisted simple classification. The Queen found herself wondering if perhaps her understanding of human nature was incomplete, if maybe there was more to their apparent cowardice than met the eye. As the Xylofian Empire prepared for its inevitable expansion into Earth's solar system, Queen Zerathia made a decision that surprised even her closest advisors. She ordered the construction of a special observation vessel, equipped with unprecedented surveillance capabilities and staffed by her most trusted analysts. This ship would maintain a covert orbit around Earth, gathering data on human behavior under increasingly realistic threat scenarios. The Queen wanted to witness firsthand how humans would react when faced with genuine danger, rather than relying solely on historical observations and theoretical projections. The vessel's design incorporated advanced cloaking technology and quantum sensors capable of monitoring human physiological responses down to the cellular level. Its crew included specialists in human psychology, sociology, and cultural anthropology, all working under the direct supervision of Selectra. Queen Zerathia herself would periodically link her consciousness to the ship's neural network, experiencing Earth's reality through thousands of simultaneous perspectives. Through this enhanced observation platform, the Queen began to notice subtle nuances in human behavior that had previously eluded detection. She observed how individuals would freeze in terror during emergencies, only to later organize rescue efforts and support systems. She saw communities come together after disasters, displaying remarkable cooperation and resourcefulness. Most intriguingly, she detected patterns of defiance emerging in response to perceived injustices, even when facing overwhelming odds. These observations sparked intense debates within the Xylofian High Council. Some argued that these behaviors merely represented sophisticated survival mechanisms rather than genuine courage. Others suggested that humans might possess a latent potential for bravery that manifested only under specific conditions. Queen Zerathia found herself torn between these interpretations, her certainty about human nature wavering with each new piece of evidence. The situation reached a critical point when the observation vessel detected an unprecedented phenomenon on Earth, a global movement of civil resistance against environmental destruction. Humans from all corners of their planet were uniting to challenge powerful corporate and governmental entities, risking their safety and livelihoods to protect their world. The scale and coordination of this movement contradicted everything the Xylofians believed about human cowardice. Queen Zerathia spent entire cycles immersed in the observation data, studying the faces of protesters facing armed opposition, listening to speeches delivered with trembling voices yet unwavering conviction. She watched as parents brought their children to demonstrations, knowing the risks involved but believing in the importance of standing up for future generations. These acts of defiance, conducted without the promise of immediate reward or protection, challenged her fundamental understanding of human nature. The Queen's confusion deepened when she observed how these movements persisted despite violent suppression attempts. Humans continued to gather, to speak out, to resist, even when faced with tear gas, rubber bullets, and mass arrests. Their courage seemed to grow rather than diminish under pressure, spreading through social networks and inspiring others to join the cause. The Xylofian surveillance teams documented countless instances of individuals overcoming their fear to stand beside their fellows, forming protective barriers between authorities and vulnerable protesters. These revelations forced Queen Zerathia to reconsider her strategy regarding Earth. The planned invasion timetable was pushed back repeatedly as she demanded more data, more analysis, more understanding of this perplexing species. Her advisors grew increasingly concerned about the delay, warning that prolonged hesitation might allow humans to develop countermeasures against Xylofian technology. Yet the Queen remained resolute, unwilling to proceed until she fully comprehended the nature of the beings she intended to conquer. During one particularly intense observation session, Queen Zerathia linked her consciousness directly to the neural feed of a young human activist facing arrest. Through this connection, she experienced the rush of adrenaline, the cold grip of fear, and the burning determination that drove the individual to stand firm despite imminent danger. The emotional complexity of the experience overwhelmed her senses, forcing her to sever the connection abruptly. This incident marked a turning point in the Queen's perception. For the first time, she began to suspect that human courage might manifest differently from Xylofian valor, not as a constant state of readiness for battle, but as a choice made despite fear and uncertainty. This realization shook the foundation of her beliefs about human nature, raising questions about the very nature of courage itself. As Queen Zerathia grappled with these revelations, an unexpected development threatened to force her hand. Deep within the Xylofian Empire's outer territories, a rival faction had begun mobilizing its forces. Intelligence reports indicated that these dissidents viewed Earth's resources as crucial to their bid for power and were preparing to launch their own invasion fleet. The Queen found herself caught between her desire for complete understanding of human nature and the urgent need to secure Earth before it fell into hostile hands. The tension aboard the Xylofian observation vessel reached a fever pitch as conflicting reports flooded in from Earth's surface. Queen Zerathia, maintaining her neural link with the surveillance network, observed a series of events that defied all previous understanding of human behavior. Across multiple continents, ordinary citizens were transforming into something extraordinary. Factory workers were repurposing industrial equipment to create defensive technologies. Scientists were abandoning proprietary research to collaborate on open-source defense projects. Communities were organizing neighborhood watch programs that evolved into sophisticated early warning systems. Through thousands of surveillance feeds, the Queen witnessed scenes that challenged every assumption she'd held about human cowardice. In one particularly striking instance, an elderly woman in a small coastal town stood alone against a group of heavily armed poachers threatening local wildlife. Her frail body trembled with fear, yet she refused to step aside, citing international conservation laws and local ordinances with surprising authority. When the poachers attempted to push past her, the entire community emerged from their homes, armed with nothing more than fishing nets and gardening tools, forming a human wall of resistance. The Queen's neural interface buzzed with conflicting emotions as she processed these observations. Her crystalline armor pulsed erratically, reflecting the turmoil within her consciousness. Through the observation vessel's advanced sensors, she detected unprecedented levels of oxytocin and endorphins flooding human brains during these acts of collective courage. What had appeared as cowardice in isolated incidents now revealed itself as a complex social mechanism. Individuals drawing strength from community bonds, transforming fear into determination through shared purpose. More disturbing to the Queen was the rapid evolution of human defensive strategies. The observation team documented how quickly humans adapted to perceived threats, developing innovative solutions that combined ancient techniques with cutting-edge technology. In urban centers, citizens transformed public spaces into multi-layered defense zones using augmented reality applications to coordinate their efforts. Rural communities established sophisticated communication networks using modified civilian drones and repurposed satellite technology. The Queen's primary analyst, Selectra, presented a comprehensive report that shook the foundations of Xylofian military doctrine. Your Majesty, our projections indicate that human defensive capabilities are increasing exponentially. Their apparent disorganization masks a highly adaptive system of decentralized resistance. Each attempt at intimidation or demonstration of force seems to trigger a corresponding leap in their defensive sophistication. The observation vessel sensor arrays picked up another alarming trend. Humans were beginning to detect the subtle traces of Xylofian surveillance. Amateur astronomers and citizen science groups were pooling resources to track anomalous phenomena in Earth's orbit. Online forums buzzed with theories about extraterrestrial observation, some alarmingly close to the truth. The Queen watched as these discussions evolved from speculation to coordinated action, with volunteers organizing systematic sky-watching campaigns and sharing data through encrypted channels. Most concerning was the emergence of what humans called citizen scientists, individuals who combined professional expertise with grassroots enthusiasm to analyze patterns in atmospheric disturbances, satellite telemetry, and electromagnetic anomalies. Through the observation vessel's neural link, Queen Zerathia experienced the thrill of discovery as these groups pieced together evidence of alien presence. Their methods were crude but effective, demonstrating a level of collaborative problem-solving that rivaled Xylofian hive mind processes. The Queen's mandibles clicked rapidly as she processed these developments. Her advisors, linked through the vessel's neural network, expressed growing concern about the implications. Your Majesty, transmitted General Vortak, we may have underestimated human adaptability. Their apparent cowardice appears to be a strategic withdrawal, allowing them to gather strength and knowledge while avoiding direct confrontation. This pattern suggests a level of tactical awareness we have not previously encountered. Queen Zerathia's consciousness expanded to encompass multiple observation feeds simultaneously. She witnessed how human communities were integrating their newfound awareness into daily life without panic or chaos. School children participated in astronomy clubs with renewed enthusiasm, their innocent curiosity masking sophisticated data collection efforts. Technology companies released consumer products with dual purposes: entertainment devices that doubled as signal detectors, gaming platforms that served as encryption tools. The observation team documented how human creativity flourished under the perceived threat. Artists created works that encoded mathematical patterns relevant to orbital mechanics. Musicians composed pieces that, when analyzed spectrally, revealed coordinates of suspected observation points. Writers published stories that, while appearing fictional, contained detailed descriptions of possible alien technology and tactics. Through the vessel's advanced empathy sensors, Queen Zorathia detected a profound shift in human emotional states. Fear was still present, but it now mingled with determination, curiosity, and a strange form of joy. Humans seemed to find meaning in their collective resistance, drawing strength from their shared vulnerability. The Queen's crystalline crown pulsed with conflicting energies as she struggled to reconcile these observations with her previous understanding of human nature. The situation grew more complex as humans began implementing practical measures based on their suspicions. Civil defense organizations expanded their training programs to include scenarios involving extraterrestrial encounters. Emergency response teams developed protocols for dealing with non-human threats. Private citizens invested in protective measures ranging from basic blackout curtains to elaborate underground shelters, all while maintaining a facade of normalcy in their daily lives. Queen Zorathia found herself drawn to observe a particular human family in North America, the Johnsons, whose activities exemplified the broader trend. Through the observation vessel's intimate surveillance capabilities, she witnessed how each member contributed to the collective effort. The father, a software engineer, worked on encryption algorithms while helping his children with homework. The mother, a schoolteacher, incorporated basic astronomy and physics concepts into her lesson plans, subtly educating her students about potential threats. Their teenage daughter organized a neighborhood watch program under the guise of a stargazing club, while their youngest son learned Morse code through video games that secretly transmitted real-time data about suspicious aerial phenomena. These observations forced the Queen to confront a disturbing possibility: that humans had been aware of Xylofian presence for longer than previously suspected, deliberately choosing to prepare in secret rather than reveal their knowledge. This calculated restraint suggested a level of strategic thinking that contradicted every assumption about human impulsiveness and fear-driven behavior. As the Queen delved deeper into the observation data, she discovered evidence of similar patterns worldwide. Indigenous communities were reviving ancient sky-watching traditions, incorporating modern technology into their practices. Urban collectives were establishing rooftop gardens that doubled as observation posts. Coastal towns were organizing fishing fleets into coordinated patrol networks, their vessels equipped with modified navigation systems capable of detecting unusual underwater activity. The Queen's consciousness vibrated with conflicting impulses as she processed these revelations. Her crystalline armor pulsed with patterns that reflected the complexity of human behavior. Courage masked as caution, strength hidden within apparent weakness, unity emerging from diversity. The image of humanity that had once seemed so clear now dissolved into a kaleidoscope of possibilities, each more challenging to comprehend than the last. Through the observation vessel's neural interface, Queen Zorathia accessed real-time data streams from Earth's surface, her consciousness expanding to encompass multiple perspectives simultaneously. She witnessed how human communities were transforming their environments into intricate networks of resistance and resilience. In urban centers, skyscrapers became vertical fortresses, their windows converted into observation posts while maintaining their commercial functions. Public parks transformed into emergency assembly areas disguised as recreational spaces, their landscaping carefully designed to provide natural cover and strategic vantage points. The Queen's crystalline crown pulsed with increasing intensity as she observed humans integrating defensive measures into their daily lives with remarkable ingenuity. Apartment dwellers installed smart window films that could instantly become opaque, marketed as privacy enhancements but serving dual purposes. Office buildings implemented evacuation drills that incorporated elements of alien encounter protocols, explained to employees as standard emergency procedures. Transportation networks developed flexible routing systems that could isolate sections of cities within minutes, presented to the public as traffic management innovations. Through the vessel's advanced empathic sensors, Queen Zorathia detected a profound transformation in human emotional states. Fear had evolved into something more complex, a driving force that fueled innovation rather than paralysis. She watched as individuals channeled their anxiety into creative problem-solving, developing solutions that blended seamlessly with their existing lifestyles. A young couple in Tokyo converted their coffee shop into a community hub, installing Wi-Fi routers that doubled as signal jammers while serving customers their usual beverages. An elderly man in London transformed his model train collection into a sophisticated communication network, using radio-controlled trains to transmit encrypted messages through the city's tunnels. The observation team documented how human social structures were adapting to accommodate their growing awareness of potential threats. Families reorganized their living spaces to include hidden rooms and escape routes, explaining these modifications as home improvement projects. Community groups established rotating watch schedules, framing them as neighborhood fitness initiatives. Schools incorporated emergency preparedness into their curricula through interactive games and projects that seemed innocuous to casual observers but contained layers of strategic value. Queen Zarathia found herself particularly fascinated by the emergence of what humans termed prepper culture. Through thousands of surveillance feeds, she observed how this movement had evolved from isolated survivalists into a sophisticated network of prepared communities. These groups shared resources, knowledge, and skills through online platforms that appear to focus on outdoor recreation and DIY projects. Their members ranged from tech entrepreneurs to rural farmers, each contributing their expertise to a collective effort that spanned socio-economic boundaries. The Queen's neural interface buzzed with conflicting emotions as she processed these observations. Her crystalline armor pulsed with patterns that reflected the complexity of human behavior. Courage hidden within apparent conformity, strength emerging from shared vulnerability, unity forged through diverse contributions. She watched as humans demonstrated remarkable adaptability, modifying their environments and routines to incorporate defensive measures without disrupting their daily lives or attracting undue attention. Through the observation vessel's quantum sensors, Queen Zarathia detected an unprecedented level of coordination between human communities. Local businesses collaborated to create supply chains that could function independently of centralized distribution networks. Community gardens expanded to include medicinal plants and fiber crops, their layouts designed to maximize yield while providing natural camouflage. Water systems were modified to include redundant filtration and storage capabilities, explained to residents as sustainability initiatives. The Queen's consciousness expanded to encompass the full scope of human preparation efforts. She observed how entertainment media served as a vehicle for disseminating crucial information. Science fiction films and television shows incorporated accurate depictions of potential alien threats and appropriate responses, packaged as speculative fiction. Video games trained players in strategic thinking and resource management while appearing to be mere entertainment. Music festivals and sporting events became opportunities for testing communication systems and coordinating large-scale movements. Most remarkable was the way humans maintained their social fabric while preparing for potential conflict. Weddings continued to take place, but reception venues doubled as emergency shelters. Birthday parties featured scavenger hunts that mapped out escape routes. Holiday celebrations incorporated elements of survival training, presented as traditional games and activities. Through it all, humans demonstrated an uncanny ability to balance preparation with normalcy, their apparent cowardice revealing itself as a sophisticated strategy of gradual adaptation. As Queen Zarathia absorbed these observations, her understanding of human nature underwent a profound transformation. What had once seemed like cowardice now appeared as a complex survival mechanism, a dance between caution and courage that allowed humans to prepare without provoking immediate conflict. Their apparent weaknesses, their tendency to retreat, to hide, to delay direct confrontation, revealed themselves as strengths when viewed through this new perspective. The Queen's crystalline armor pulsed with patterns of recognition as she realized that human preparation extended far beyond physical defenses. Through the observation vessel's neural interface, she detected the emergence of what humans called psychological resilience training. Therapists and counselors were developing techniques to help individuals manage fear and anxiety while maintaining clear thinking under pressure. Support groups formed around shared interests, providing emotional strength while discussing contingency plans. Meditation apps incorporated visualization exercises that helped users imagine themselves responding effectively to alien encounters. These observations forced Queen Zarathia to confront the limitations of her previous understanding. Human courage wasn't the absence of fear, as Xylofian valor was defined, but rather the ability to act despite fear. Their apparent cowardice was actually a sophisticated calibration of risk and response, allowing them to gather strength while avoiding premature engagement. The Queen's consciousness vibrated with the implications of this realization, her crystalline crown pulsing with patterns that reflected the complexity of human nature. Through the observation vessel's advanced sensors, Queen Zorathia detected a phenomenon that challenged every aspect of Xylofian military doctrine. Humans were developing what they termed asymmetric warfare capabilities, leveraging their technological infrastructure in ways that defied conventional strategic thinking. Cybersecurity experts were collaborating with amateur radio enthusiasts to create decentralized communication networks that could operate independently of traditional infrastructure. Software developers were embedding hidden protocols in popular applications, creating dormant defense systems that could be activated remotely. The Queen's neural interface buzzed with conflicting emotions as she processed these developments. Her crystalline armor pulsed with patterns that reflected the complexity of human innovation. Courage hidden within apparent conformity, strength emerging from shared vulnerability, unity forged through diverse contributions. She watched as humans demonstrated remarkable adaptability, modifying their environments and routines to incorporate defensive measures without disrupting their daily lives or attracting undue attention. Through the observation vessel's quantum sensors, Queen Zorathia detected an unprecedented level of coordination between human communities. Local businesses collaborated to create supply chains that could function independently of centralized distribution networks. Community gardens expanded to include medicinal plants and fiber crops, their layouts designed to maximize yield while providing natural camouflage. Water systems were modified to include redundant filtration and storage capabilities, explained to residents as sustainability initiatives. The Queen's consciousness expanded to encompass the full scope of human preparation efforts. She observed how entertainment media served as a vehicle for disseminating crucial information. Science fiction films and television shows incorporated accurate depictions of potential alien threats and appropriate responses, packaged as speculative fiction. Video games trained players in strategic thinking and resource management while appearing to be mere entertainment. Music festivals and sporting events became opportunities for testing communication systems and coordinating large-scale movements. Most remarkable was the way humans maintained their social fabric while preparing for potential conflict. Weddings continued to take place, but reception venues doubled as emergency shelters. Birthday parties featured scavenger hunts that mapped out escape routes. Holiday celebrations incorporated elements of survival training, presented as traditional games and activities. Through it all, humans demonstrated an uncanny ability to balance preparation with normalcy, their apparent cowardice revealing itself as a sophisticated strategy of gradual adaptation. As Queen Zorathia absorbed these observations, her understanding of human nature underwent a profound transformation. What had once seemed like cowardice now appeared as a complex survival mechanism, a dance between caution and courage that allowed humans to prepare without provoking immediate conflict. Their apparent weaknesses, their tendency to retreat, to hide, to delay direct confrontation, revealed themselves as strengths when viewed through this new perspective. The Queen's crystalline armor pulsed with patterns of recognition as she realized that human preparation extended far beyond physical defenses. Through the observation vessel's neural interface, she detected the emergence of what humans called psychological resilience training. Therapists and counselors were developing techniques to help individuals manage fear and anxiety while maintaining clear thinking under pressure. Support groups formed around shared interests, providing emotional strength while discussing contingency plans. Meditation apps incorporated visualization exercises that helped users imagine themselves responding effectively to alien encounters. These observations forced Queen Zorathia to confront the limitations of her previous understanding. Human courage wasn't the absence of fear, as Xylofian valor was defined, but rather the ability to act despite fear. Their apparent cowardice was actually a sophisticated calibration of risk and response, allowing them to gather strength while avoiding premature engagement. The Queen's consciousness vibrated with the implications of this realization, her crystalline crown pulsing with patterns that reflected the complexity of human nature. Through the observation vessel's advanced sensors, Queen Zorathia detected a phenomenon that challenged every aspect of Xylofian military doctrine. Humans were developing what they termed asymmetric warfare capabilities, leveraging their technological infrastructure in ways that defied conventional strategic thinking. Cybersecurity experts were collaborating with amateur radio enthusiasts to create decentralized communication networks that could operate independently of traditional infrastructure. Software developers were embedding hidden protocols in popular applications, creating dormant defense systems that could be activated remotely. The Queen's neural interface buzzed with conflicting emotions as she processed these developments. Her crystalline armor pulsed with patterns that reflected the complexity of human innovation. Courage hidden within apparent conformity, strength emerging from shared vulnerability, unity forged through diverse contributions. She watched as humans demonstrated remarkable adaptability, modifying their environments and routines to incorporate defensive measures without disrupting their daily lives or attracting undue attention. Through the observation vessel's quantum sensors, Queen Zerathia detected an unprecedented level of coordination between human communities. Local businesses collaborated to create supply chains that could function independently of centralized distribution networks. Community gardens expanded to include medicinal plants and fiber crops, their layouts designed to maximize yield while providing natural camouflage. Water systems were modified to include redundant filtration and storage capabilities, explained to residents as sustainability initiatives. The Queen's mandibles clicked rapidly as she processed these revelations. Her crystalline crown pulsed with patterns that reflected the complexity of human nature. Courage hidden within apparent conformity, strength emerging from shared vulnerability, unity forged through diverse contributions. She watched as humans demonstrated remarkable adaptability, modifying their environments and routines to incorporate defensive measures without disrupting their daily lives or attracting undue attention. As Queen Zerathia absorbed these observations, her understanding of human nature underwent a profound transformation. What had once seemed like cowardice now appeared as a complex survival mechanism, a dance between caution and courage that allowed humans to prepare without provoking immediate conflict. Their apparent weaknesses, their tendency to retreat, to hide, to delay direct confrontation, revealed themselves as strengths when viewed through this new perspective. The Queen's crystalline armor pulsed with patterns of recognition as she realized that human preparation extended far beyond physical defenses. Through the observation vessel's neural interface, she detected the emergence of what humans called psychological resilience training. Therapists and counselors were developing techniques to help individuals manage fear and anxiety while maintaining clear thinking under pressure. Support groups formed around shared interests, providing emotional strength while discussing contingency plans. Meditation apps incorporated visualization exercises that helped users imagine themselves responding effectively to alien encounters. These observations forced Queen Zerathia to confront the limitations of her previous understanding. Human courage wasn't the absence of fear, as Xylofian valor was defined, but rather the ability to act despite fear. Their apparent cowardice was actually a sophisticated calibration of risk and response, allowing them to gather strength while avoiding premature engagement. The Queen's consciousness vibrated with the implications of this realization, her crystalline crown pulsing with patterns that reflected the complexity of human nature. Through the observation vessel's advanced sensors, Queen Zerathia detected a phenomenon that challenged every aspect of Xylofian military doctrine. Humans were developing what they termed asymmetric warfare capabilities, leveraging their technological infrastructure in ways that defied conventional strategic thinking. Cybersecurity experts were collaborating with amateur radio enthusiasts to create decentralized communication networks that could operate independently of traditional infrastructure. Software developers were embedding hidden protocols in popular applications, creating dormant defense systems that could be activated remotely. The Queen's neural interface buzzed with conflicting emotions as she processed these developments. Her crystalline armor pulsed with patterns that reflected the complexity of human innovation. Courage hidden within apparent conformity, strength emerging from shared vulnerability, unity forged through diverse contributions. She watched as humans demonstrated remarkable adaptability, modifying their environments and routines to incorporate defensive measures without disrupting their daily lives or attracting undue attention. As the first Xylofian scout ships descended upon Earth, Queen Zerathia watched with a mixture of awe and dread. Humans, once thought to be cowards, rose as one, united not by fear, but by an unyielding resolve to protect their home. The Queen's crystalline crown dimmed as she realized her empire had underestimated humanity's true strength, its capacity to adapt, endure, and fight for what mattered most. Cities became fortresses, skies filled with improvised defenses, and every human heart beat in defiance of the alien invaders. For the first time in centuries, Queen Zerathia felt doubt creep into her consciousness, a chilling uncertainty about the outcome of this war. Her generals clamored for retaliation, but she hesitated, seeing something in humanity that mirrored her own species' ancient struggles. As the battle raged across continents, the Queen made a fateful decision, to seek dialogue rather than destruction. Through fragmented transmissions, humans responded, not with surrender, but with demands for peace on equal terms. The Queen stared at Earth from her command chamber, its blue-green surface glowing like a beacon of resilience. In that moment, she understood that courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was the will to act despite it, a lesson humanity had taught her too late.